What's up, guys? Now, a super fancy marketing term, especially in digital marketing, we hear all the time is lead magnet. This is a tool we use quite a bit for our clients. This is something you can use for yourself as well. The term itself is far more energetic than it really is. It's not something that, it's not this magic holy grail of step you implement on your website and you're going to start getting more and more leads. But it is something that it converts users in that messy middle into what we call a conversion, or at least gets them to give you their information so you can market to them later, whether with email marketing, retargeting, etc. What is a lead magnet? The ChatGPT's definition here, it says it's an incentive offered to potential customers in exchange for their contact information. So we're basically saying, here's something valuable, there's no strings attached, except let's stay in touch. Put it this way, say in any digital marketing campaign, you know that from every 100 users that enter your website, 5%, 20%, 10%, whatever that may be, will convert into definite buyers. For example, a client of ours here, the PPC campaign has 7.42% conversion rate. That means for every 100 users, we know about 7 will turn into definite leads, will turn into definite conversions. But there's all this space now, Does that mean that 93 other users, are those all useless and definite no-nos, and there's no way we can ever convert them into at least a hot lead? A fair number of those users may at some point become customers if you target them properly. But you need to get their information first. Now, the whole point of a lead magnet is basically trying to get a percentage of that 93 users who would not otherwise turn into a lead right now, into a marketing qualified lead. Get their information, retarget, remarket to them later with your email marketing campaigns, get in touch with them, however your sale process is. But essentially, since we're paying for each of these users to come on the website, we either want them to convert into a lead or at least provide their information to you that you can basically stay in touch with them later. Now, how can you do this? How can you incentivize users that 93 users out of 100 that we know are just not going to convert into a query today, into a warm lead? We entice them with a resource, with an offer, just with something of value that would incentivize them to provide you with their information. Now, this is very industry based. Different resources are considered valuable. If you are, for example, in the building industry and provide renovation services, for example, query with us and we'll give you a gift card or something, that could be quite valuable. Now, what does this do? We'll go back to those 100 users again. If it's organic, you pay an SEO specialist, and that's an indirect cost. Or if it's a PPC service, PPC traffic, pay-per-click traffic, then you pay per click essentially. We want to make sure we want to get every value out of that user as we can because we paid for them. And hopefully over a sustained period of time, your marketing and sales and all that magic activity would lead to a decrease in customer acquisition costs. That is, you are spending less money in marketing over time for every additional customer you are acquiring. That's the whole point. Lead magnets, marketing, sales, this and that, everything is constantly improves to a point that it incrementally drops that customer acquisition cost. It's a key word. I'm not going to get into it this time, but if you forget anything else, just remember that. We want your conversion rate of your website to go up. A very effective tool to use that is a lead magnet. What that influence and impacts is your customer acquisition costs going down. Now, ways to implement a lead magnet. For us at AV Consulting, how we do it is through a pop-up form, especially at the start when we have less data to go off and see if this is working or not and what kind of improvements the lead magnet needs. And an offer that's truly valuable, that it will entice the user to give their information. And the pop-up will appear after the majority of a page has been scrolled down. So bam, a pop-up comes up, says, okay, give us your information now, and say it's a building client. We'll give you a $500 gift voucher from, say, Miter 10 or a hardware store. Obviously, over time, If this pop-up comes up and we see users are not engaging with it and it matures 1 to 2 months and we see, look, we haven't got many information submissions and taking advantage of this offer, then we'll change tax a bit. There are various forms you can implement a lead magnet. What is as important, I wouldn't say more important, but just as important, is the offer behind it. Make it genuine, make it of actual value. This is not rocket science. I don't think it's rocket science anyways, but I just put this in ChatGPT essentially, like what are various forms of lead magnets. Obviously checklist, check sheet, short reports, I think for certain industry, free audits, free reviews, assessments, toolkits, video series, webinars, masterclasses is a bit more advanced. Obviously if your business is still maturing, it's in that early phases, you may not want that offer to be very, very involved, because obviously you don't want to give any user that gives you their information to give them 5 or 6 hours of your time. You want to provide them a resource that you can copy, that you don't have to reproduce every single time. That saves you time. Time is a very precious commodity here. Okay, so that's basically a short explanation of what a lead magnet is. As an overall summary, it is an offer to get a user's information. I'm gonna beat this to death. You gotta get sick of me saying this, but if you got 100 users and we know 7% are converting into leads, how do we keep in touch with a percentage of that other 93 users essentially? How do we get their information? This could be through a pop-up, could be through a section on a landing page. It is not a holy grail of business. There's no such thing as a holy grail of business. When it comes to anything sales, marketing, growth, there's no silver bullet here. Yeah, it's not gonna X3, X4, X5, maybe in some industries, but it's not gonna quadruple your leads and sales overnight. But it is gonna be an incremental improvement, and coupled with other effective marketing methods, sales methods, that will make a bit of difference. Remember that basically all business development is getting more customers, make sure to make ensuring those sales cycles shorten, and decreasing your customer acquisition costs. 10, 20, 30% improvement over year to year is quite significant when you scale it out to 5, 6, 10 years, etc.